What theological reasons do you think some people have to choose Islam over Christianity? What arguments do you hear in debates with Muslims? And please stick to theological issues, not reasons like Christians scare them away from Christianity.
Okay, yeah. I think historically it's fairly clear. Greg and I both have at different times taught world religions at Bethel, so we've got into these issues. One thing Muhammad got very clear, and you got to grant him this, whatever you think of Islam, Muhammad was born and raised in a highly polytheistic culture, and he rejected polytheism for a strong doctrine of monotheism, one God. I used to have a young Muslim woman come into my classes at Bethel to share with my students, and it was fascinating to see the level at which, I got to know her over the years and dialoguing with my students, and she would be right with us. One God, loving, transcendent, powerful, all that stuff. When she finally would go, but I got to draw the line, is with the doctrine of the Trinity. That is, I think, historically, what prevented, it's in the Quran. It says, when they say, talking about three gods, because that's how Muslims hear it, they don't hear one God, three persons. For them, three persons must mean three gods. It's really the same problem the Jews have had with Christians historically, is three in one sounds a whole lot like sort of a covert tritheism. It sounds like we're a variety of polytheism. We limit it to three. But for them, that violates the single most blasphemous sin you can commit in Islam, which is the sin of shirk, which is disaffirming the radical unity and oneness of God. And it was fascinating as I tried to talk with my friend, my Muslim friend, about, no, we're totally with you on the oneness of God. Put a circle on the board. I used to do this on the chalkboard. There's the one God, right? No other circles, one God. When we talk about Trinity, all we're asking is a question about the inner life of God, almost the psychology of God. We think there's three persons in an eternal loving dance that make up the one God. You don't. No. You're saying three gods. That's three gods right there. So that's, I think, where a lot of the theological difference comes down to most clearly with Christians.
And with that goes a strong repudiation in Islam of the idea that God, Allah, could ever become a human being or would ever become a human being. They see that as degrading. So the idea that Jesus is fully divine and should be worshipped as such is also blasphemous. It goes right along with that. Part of what makes, I think, Islam compelling to people is that two things, I think. One is that it's a fairly black and white religion. The clear-cut categories, here's what you do, here's the 5 steps, here's how you please Allah. It's very well defined. There's not a lot of murkiness, not a lot of individual choice. If you're an Orthodox Muslim, then you have a real clear map of the things you have to do in order to be on the right side of Allah. And a lot of folks like that, whereas Christianity tends to have a lot more ambiguity. And there are certainly clear-cut definitives, but there's a lot more murkiness, and some people, that turns some people off. The other thing, and it goes right along with it, and this is really an indictment of the church, is that Islam has always had a strong sense of community, to be in the family, and a strong sense of brotherhood and sisterhood. The Christian faith is supposed to have that, but as things have degenerated in Western culture, it hasn't, and people are starving for it. And I think the main driver for people who convert to Islam, it's not the theology. I think it's mainly a hunger for community. And I think the Christian faith has something to learn about that from the Muslims.